So just accept the world and fate and control who you are, right? Control who you are within that world. And that is how you can make things sustainable and make things consistent and really make progress, but also feel like you're making progress. And that's where success lies. All right, I'm going to be doing this one unscripted and in as close to one take as I possibly can. Yep. This video is specifically going to be about feelings of frustration and of just kind of generally being stressed when being on self-improvement. Yeah, and so I did some journaling on this earlier that I'm going to kind of read bits and pieces from, and then we'll go from there. The idea came to me originally just because I was thinking about how, on a day-to-day basis, I feel a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, but most of that comes from myself. I think back to a long time ago when I was just kind of like zeroed out, starting from scratch, and I didn't have that feeling of stress. I was more behind. In a way, I felt like I was more behind than I ever had been, but I didn't feel that kind of stress and frustration. Whereas now, while I'm making progress, any moment that I feel like I'm not making progress, or that I make a mistake and I fall off of a habit, or I feel like I'm falling behind, that really stresses me out. And that makes me feel very, just almost kind of like aggravated on a daily kind of basis. And that's not really great for my mood or even just general well-being, right? So I tried thinking about that a bit, and that's what I wrote about. So let's see. Yeah, so I wrote here, talking specifically about a point in my time where I felt like I was doing pretty good on self-improvement. I said, I was also just in a giving mentality, but looking back at it, I think that's because I felt like I was in a position where I could give. And so I thought, why am I not feeling like I'm in that position now? Why do I not feel like I'm in a position to be able to give to others? And so I think I have that feeling now, that kind of frustration, restlessness that comes from feeling like I don't have my life together, like I'm not giving to myself, and that when I give to others, it's like it's taking over from myself, like I'm rolling over myself. I don't feel like I'm in a place to give to others. Yet I feel like that feeling is most prevalent when I'm the one who's wasting my own time, right? So this is in reference to feelings I get where, let's say I'm trying to build some new habits, or I'm trying to make something consistent, right? There might be times where I'll think, okay, I'll start doing this in like 30 minutes, right? I'll go work out in 30 minutes. And then I spend those 30 minutes just wasting time, right? By the time those 30 minutes are up, I might have a friend say like, oh, do you want to hang out? Or like, oh, do you want to cook some dinner together, for example, right? And that will start to frustrate me, right? But why? Why does that feeling frustrate me? Because that's something that's good, right? Like those are the best parts of life. Why do I close myself off to that? That's something I'm trying to think about, because it's almost like, well, I'll get to this later, but it's almost like by chasing that kind of self-improvement, I am ironically making myself less of the person who I want to be. And so yeah, we'll get to that. So I get this feeling when I plan to edit a video, for example, but then I watch an hour of YouTube beforehand, and then something comes up. It's on me. At the same time, when will it end? If it's always coming up because I need more for myself, right? Then when will that end? It won't, because it's focused on the result. At the very beginning of my journaling, I guess, there was a point where I didn't have that feeling at all, because I had no result that I was focused on, right? And so this is what I had mentioned before, where I was just kind of zeroed out, starting from scratch. I had no result, and I didn't feel stressed. Afterwards, I still didn't feel it, because I was focused on the process and not on that result, right? So right now I'm focusing on the result, and that ends up stressing. Okay, yeah, so that ends up stressing me out because whether or not I'm feeling like I'm progressing towards it, I'm falling behind. My handwriting's just a bit messy because I scratched this out really quick while I was at work. So let me let me reread that. So right now I'm focusing on a result, and that ends up stressing me out because I'm because whenever I'm not feeling like I'm progressing towards it, I'm falling behind. The thing is, that's not true. And so let me just make sure that I'm recording real quick. I am. Good. Think. So the thing is, that's not true. And I started talking a little bit about this time that I had been addicted to a video game. Not addicted, but I just started playing this video game and I binged it, right? Like I finished the whole game in a couple of days, and for those days, that's all I did. During that moment, I had no progress in anything, right? There was no focusing on any results. I stopped everything and all I did was play that game. But I felt fine. At points, I even felt great. I didn't lose out on my progress. The universe didn't end, right? That's the thing. I'm trying to focus on a result and force the flow of the universe to go in a direction that I want. And that means that I'm struggling and stressing myself out to the point that I get upset when friends ask me to hang out, right? I stop being the person who I want to be as a result of chasing the wrong thing. It's ironic. The process of changing the measure of something causes me to lose that very thing. I want self-improvement, but chasing what I determine to be its measures, I end up destroying who I am and who I want to be. It's that very struggle that causes me to fall behind. Instead, I just need to focus on the process and accept life as it comes. It's all improvement. It's all good. If I can't get to bed on time one night because I'm having a good time with friends, that's fine. That's life. I can't spend all this time trying to avoid that, trying and feeling bad about myself in those moments. I can't reduce myself to a person who can't even make a little bit of time to spend with their friends, right? Like if those are the good things in life, if I'm the kind of person who wants to be social, if I'm the kind of person who wants to make time for the people I care about, chasing after these metrics that I think are the definition of self-improvement, or that I think define my success in self-improvement, if that causes me to become less of the person who I want to be, then that means I'm chasing the wrong thing, right? I'm focusing on the wrong thing. And so this is how all that ties in together with these ideas of results, right? Always focusing on the results, focusing on whether or not I got to bed on time, not focusing on what does it mean for the entirety of the experience and for who I am. So if I miss out on some sleep because I'm hanging out with friends, that's a win. If I miss out on some sleep because I'm procrastinating or because I'm being irresponsible or I'm doing something that I regret, that's a loss. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Cool. So it's not about the result. It's about the experience and the process. The results will come over time as a result of the person who I become. There is no falling behind because there is no outcome to focus on. There is only the process. If I feel stressed and frustrated, it's either because I'm trying to control the flow of the universe or because I know that I'm taking the wrong action myself. There will never be a moment where I feel like I have sorry, one sec. There will never be a moment where I feel like I have what I need because life is an ongoing process of self-improvement. If I wait until I'm perfect, I'll never reach a point where I can give to others. That means that I'll never be the person who I want to be, right? So instead, What's important is that I take the right action in each moment, so that when life comes, I can accept it. I have to remember, there is no outcome. There is no falling behind. Each time that I sleep on time, that's additive, right? Each time that I exercise, that's good. I don't fall behind by not doing something. I don't fall by not doing something. I only fall by doing something negative. Anything that's positive is good. It doesn't matter if you do it once, if you do it twice. If you are a person who's never exercised a day in your life, you might set a plan to exercise 5 days a week, right? And then you start on that first day. Maybe you go on that second day. The third day you miss. Now you feel like you've failed. And then what ends up happening is that you just stay off. You no longer are able to meet to the standards that you have. You're focusing on the results of being able to say that you did 5 days of exercise by the end of the week, right? But that result that's not the right thing to be chasing, because you exercised 2 days that week. Before, your average was 0 days of exercise if you were just starting, right? So that's improvement. By starting on those 2 days, you have made massive improvements. But you don't allow yourself to recognize that and really feel that if you're only focusing on this result. Instead, think, wow, you did 2 days of exercise. That's awesome. The third day you missed it. Oh, well, that doesn't matter, right? You don't fall by not doing something. You fall by doing something negative, right? So you don't do it. That's fine. Next day is a new day. You can exercise tomorrow, right? And then that's improvement. And that's how you make things sustainable. And that's how you make things consistent. It's by allowing yourself the freedom and the ability to sometimes not do things, to mess up. And that's okay. Because by allowing yourself to accept that, you don't beat yourself down even further. And then every time that you do something right, every time that you stay with your goals and you make things a habit, that's improvement, right? And that's success. So anything positive is progress. Don't try and control the flow of the world, because all you'll do is struggle. Just adapt, just accept the world, right? Just accept the world and fate. And what you can, all right, say. So just accept the world and fate and control who you are, right? Control who you are within that world. And that is how you can make things sustainable and make things consistent and really make progress, but also feel like you're making progress. And that's where success lies, right? There's no point in the struggle. I think in my case, specifically that struggle of always feeling like I'm behind, of always feeling like I am not meeting up to my own standards if I'm not doing things perfectly, if I miss a day where I don't meditate, right? And that sends me into a spiral of negativity. Why? That doesn't make sense. In fact, what's really making me fall behind because again, there's no outcome to focus on. There's no measure that you're holding yourself to, right? The thing that really makes me fall off track, let's say, or that makes me just fall into negativity is that negative feeling itself, right? There's no need to struggle. The struggle itself is kind of like the enemy, because you only exist as a person moment to moment, right? So if you don't exercise for a day, yeah, that sucks, right? And that's going to feel bad regardless, right? If you had set yourself a goal to exercise every day. But you can't let that grow beyond those feelings, because you only exist in this moment, right? If you didn't exercise, what's the next right thing that you can do now? Do that. Tomorrow, you don't miss your exercise, right? And you'll see what happens in that moment. That's how you can make things consistent, and that's how you can make your journey in self-improvement a positive one, right? Because why do all this self-improvement? Why do everything? Why challenge yourself so much if all you will do is struggle and fall into negativity as a result of that struggle, right? There are some struggles that we love, or that we can learn to love, right? Exercise is a great example of this. I'm talking about exercise a lot, but I think it's good. It's a good example. When you're in the middle of exercise, you're struggling, right? But you can come to love that struggle. There are other struggles that there are no reason to participate in. And I think that this is one of them, right? Holding yourself up to a standard, to an outcome, I think that's a pointless struggle. In the struggle of exercise, you make progress. But when you struggle against the world, nothing happens. All you do is that you run in place, or in the worst case scenario, you start pushing yourself backwards. I don't think that that's a good thing. So, yeah. There's no need to be in that place of negativity when it comes to your self-improvement. Take the wins that you get, right? And now of course, there are things that can cause you to fall behind, right? Like if you're trying to quit smoking, for example, right? By smoking, let's say you spend, well, even then, if you spend 10 days without smoking and you would smoke every single day prior, that's progress. Even if you smoke again, you have made progress. There's just no reason. There's no reason to hold yourself to a standard that doesn't exist, right? Because there is no outcome. There is no result. There is only you in each moment. So all you can do is the right thing in that moment. And if you compare yourself to who you were in the past, right? Not to some idealized version of yourself in the future that doesn't even exist. If you smoke every single day for years, and now you decide to quit, you go 3 days without smoking, and then suddenly you smoke again, you have made progress. That is a good thing. That is a good change. You have changed the person who you are in a positive way, in a positive direction. You have a positive trajectory, and that is what you should be focusing on. Your own process, the actions that you are taking and how they compare to the actions that you were taking before. Don't focus on the results. Don't focus on the outcome. All of that will come. The important thing is that you just take the right action consistently. All right. But yeah, this one I decided to take it as close to one take as possible and to just unapologetically read from my notebook and not be staring at the camera the entire time, not memorizing a script, because I want to try out just being that honest and having that authenticity with my videos. I think that it is, I don't know, just an interesting thing to try doing. And I don't think we have a lot of that authenticity on the internet. So I think it's positive. But yeah, I hope that this has helped you, and I will be making more of these in the future. So stay tuned for that.